Hey everyone, it's Wendy Trevarthen here from Your Nurse Voice Matters. This is a podcast that educates, inspires, and advocates for nurses around the world. I'm happy to be here today, and it's a solo podcast today. I'm actually going to read for you a section out of my first book that I wrote in 2018, and it's called MidLife Mojo, Your 50 Cut the Crap. I wanted to read you the first couple of chapters. The link to purchase this book will be in the podcast bio. If you're wanting to actually get a physical copy of this book, and of course on Amazon you can get the ebook under MidLife Mojo. There's a few titles with the same name, but not my story. All right, this is the introduction, and it gives you a bit of background too as to why I do what I do, and it shares with you, the purpose that why I'm driven to help so many people. The inspiration for the idea for writing this book came to me over the last 4 or 5 years. Been working in nursing for a long time, and I see many people who have made questionable health decisions for their lives, resulting in complications of having one or many illnesses. When I was clinically obese in my 40s, I knew that if I didn't do something about my own health, I would end up being the kind of statistic that I was actually nursing. This book is primarily for women who are overwhelmed in these middle years when they're bound by their own family responsibilities for their elderly parents, for their work commitments, and at times overwhelmed with themselves. At my transformation in my 40s, I had to deal with issues such as self-confidence and self-image. And after recognizing this, I just wanted to regain a sense of control over my weight. With my nursing background, I knew what I had to do to change, but I had developed so many unhealthy habits that breaking them meant I had to reset my attitude towards myself. What I learned through those years about myself parallels with many others' experiences, and I feel drawn to pass on my learnings to enable others to reflect and make healthier lifestyle choices. Having a support crew, a coach, and a clearer, accurate information and education about those choices is vital for success. I did want to convey my own exploration of the common misconceptions that are out there to make it easier for others, and particularly women, to navigate their way towards healthier and happy versions of themselves. It is only through making better decisions through all aspects of our health that we can make any chance of fighting the obesity epidemic that is all around us, and to avoid becoming another statistic. Free government programs are available, but I have found that they are centred on a medical screening model, and there is very little available for those who want to take control over their own destiny at a time and a place that suits their lifetime commitments and circumstances. This book can be used as a reference. It can be a guide for ideas that you might want to adapt into your own life. There are tips and insights into the backbone of wellness concepts. There is a key message of simplicity at a low cost with a no-fad approach to lifestyle strategies. I believe this age is a chance to take stock, reflect, and invest in what your next 50 years is going to look like. The inspiration for my work. The inspiration for what I currently do came from my dad's story. When I was 17, my father developed a disease called Guillain-Barré syndrome. He was struck down suddenly and became a quadriplegic. He was in ICU and ventilated within hours of developing his first symptoms. He slowly regained some movement and spent a considerable amount of time in physical rehabilitation. When he came home some 2.5 years later, my mum looked after him for the final 6 years of his life. During that time, my mum had to relocate to a home to accommodate Dad's needs, retire from work, source another income stream to enable them to live, as a full-time care facility was not an option. He was 57 when he passed away from complications. I was 25 with a new baby. That experience not only inspired me to become a nurse, but it also instilled in me the value of each day of what that we have. As a result, I pursued a nursing career, and out of that experience, I learned to look at the patient or client as family, adapting my approach to them and their relatives to support them within the context of their circumstances. Each day is a blessing. Having undergone my own transformation during my 40s and with my own children and grandchildren at this stage in my life, I feel compelled to put my experience out there and to create a sense of purpose from that life experience. My own transformation resulted from me recognizing how precious my life is, and it is this purpose that I have used as the backbone of my career. Quotation: "The only limit to the height of your achievement is the reach of your dreams and the willingness to work hard to achieve them." Michelle Obama. Chapter 1. Your key motivators. Quotation: "Don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Stride down there and light the bloody thing yourself." Sarah Jane Henderson. You are unique. There is no one on this planet like you. You are the imperfect, perfect human specimen. Your needs and wants are unique to you and nobody else. Your desire to be the best version of yourself and your journey towards that goal is unique to you. The challenges we face in our midlife years are numerous, and the navigation of these is achievable if you have the right attitude and motivation. Firstly, ask yourself, why are you on this journey? During this chapter, we will explore your journey and unpack it so that you will have your own unique reason why you are going down this path. We're going to uncover what actually drives you forward and the consequences of your choices. And in doing so, we're going to explore your mindset and your attitude towards making the change for yourself. Ultimately, you will understand yourself a lot better. When I started my health journey in my mid-40s, I had no idea that I had a problem. I was in complete denial. I remember the exact day and the scenario that made all the difference and hit me like an anvil. I was working as a unit manager in a major North Queensland public hospital, and I had to urgently walk rather briskly from one end of the corridor to the other, and then quickly go up 3 flights of stairs. When I got to the top of the stairs, I was completely out of breath. What was wrong with me? I was playing 3 games of netball. I was eating what I thought was a reasonable diet. I had lots of things going on in my personal life that I thought I was keeping in balance, but I could not believe how out of breath I was at the top of those stairs. A few years later, after I've made some drastic changes, I look back at that time and I tried to find some photos of myself then. And lo and behold, I had gone through that period of my life where I had not taken any photos of myself. Looking back on it, I realized that I was quite ashamed of how I looked. The house we owned at the time only had mirrors showing your reflection from the waist up. So although I was quite aware that I was a little bit overweight, I did not realize the extent of my obesity. I was so consumed with everything else going on in my life, I was busy trying to keep everything else on track. I was determined to keep everything ticking over, to keep the household running, to keep my children healthy and happy, which I think I successfully achieved, but I had only neglected myself. I was all too consumed in the day-to-day activities of going to work, keeping the household going, and maintaining the children's activities that I had avoided seeing how much of an impact this had on my weight. Something had to change, and I made the decision at the top of those stairs to make conscious choices about my health and fitness, about my emotional well-being, about my work-life balance. I subsequently implemented these choices, resulting in a dramatic change in my attitude and the resultant weight loss. I had become an obesity statistic and I was ashamed. Sometimes you need an anvil to get you going, a scare, a realization that you are mortal. 63% of Australian adults are above the healthy weight range. Reference the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare 2016. Sometimes making the change can be frightening. You feel like you are constantly challenging yourself. You're looking at ways to improve your situation, and sometimes change can be daunting. Fear is one of the main reasons why we elect not to make those changes. We're happy in our comfort zones. We're happy with the way things are because they're running along smoothly. Over the years, I've found that if you don't challenge yourself and your boundaries, you're never going to move. It's never going to make a difference for you. Sometimes we are blind, thinking that staying the same is beneficial to us. If we can identify why staying the same can be detrimental to our long-term health, then we can really be true to ourselves and see the consequences. Where you are now may not be where you want to be in another 5 or 10 years' time. Therefore, we need to look at the reasons why we want to change. They could be obvious to you, but sometimes they are not. Listening to professional advice or the well-intentioned comment from a close friend or relative, or indeed having an anvil moment like mine, may be the light bulb moment that you need. Our lives are so busy that it's important to take time to reflect on where you're going and where you want to be. If you don't make some of the changes in your life, where are you going to be? What are you going to look like in 5 or 10 years' time? What are you going to feel in another 5 to 10 years' time? What are some of the things that you can and cannot do in 5 to 10 years' time if you don't make these changes? Once you've identified where you want to be, what are some of the things that are stopping you from getting there? There are obvious things like time, your own motivation, change in diet, change in an exercise routine, or even starting any of those activities. Where do you start? Are your family, your environment, or your workplace supportive of the steps that you want to take? What drives you to seek better solutions to enable you to make the changes? What gives you the drive to push past these barriers? For me, in my stair scenario, I could immediately see that if I stayed on that same path, I would quickly become one of the patients that I was looking after at the time. That was the anvil that hit me. I did not want to end up being like that. I wanted to avoid chronic illness later in life. I wanted to see myself in my 80s enjoying time with the people that I loved and being an active person in my relationships and in my community. What would it look like for you? What do you see as your key drivers in moving forward? Is it the people in your life, in your family, in your work life? Do you have life goals that you want to achieve? How important are those life goals to you? Find your 5. The well-known philosopher Jim Rohn advocates that you need to find your 5 people to help you stay focused on your true purpose. I challenge you to use this advice. These 5 supports do not need to be in your immediate circle. They could include a personal development guru that you feel connected to. They could be on a video platform, via a podcast, or in films or on television. These are the people that you turn to for their honest opinion of how you are going. You will find the words you need to hear to start your journey. Move to the next step to motivate you to try harder or just to keep you on track. Confronting fear. I know that you're scared of making these changes. I can hear you saying to yourself that you don't really know whether you will be successful. You're doubting yourself, limiting yourself to what you can achieve. Think back on a time when you had a sports coach encouraging you to push further, reach further, go over that line and extend yourself. Alternatively, think back to when you were limited for time when writing an essay and you knew that you had to get it completed, and you did. We're always talking about giving 110% of ourselves to our goals. What is it that gets you over that line and pushes you? Is it a time factor? Is it someone that you're letting down? Or would you want to please to complete that task? What I want you to consider doing is to internalize that motivation, whatever it is. Use it to motivate you to drive yourself forward. Think about the reasons why you're on this journey and use that as a carrot in front of you to push yourself forward and get you going. Sometimes the challenges that you face seem a bit overwhelming and it's all too hard. I suggest that you use this book to break those things down. The following 11 chapters contain strategies that you can employ to break that overwhelming goal down into chunk-sized pieces. Maybe you've tried something like this in the past, and hey, arriving at our midlife, haven't we tried it all? Maybe it's a process of taking 3 steps forwards and 2 steps backwards. But I'll tell you what, you'll be a single step further ahead. The important thing is to recognize what pulled you back. Reflect on that and use that to move you forward. Actively ask for feedback. Sometimes we do not recognize what the block is. Oh, yes, I hear you. It's easier said than done. But if you're moving forward each time that it happens, then you're further ahead than when you started. Developing a deep emotional attachment to your drivers to help you move forward can really connect you with the goal that you've set for yourself. Visualizing your motivators. Using imagery, pictures, photographs, key diagrams, and keeping them handy on a wall or in your diary can motivate you to move yourself forward each day. Keeping an image on your smartphone that you know represents what you've just unpacked can be an easy way of reminding yourself why you're on this journey. Don't forget to celebrate. If you've broken all these goals down into bite-sized pieces, when you get to the end of one of your bite-sized pieces, celebrate. Give yourself a pat on the back. Look for appraisal from those that are around you, and if they're willing to give you that praise, accept it with grace and honour. Avoid celebrating the old-fashioned way by choosing unhealthy options. Instead, find other healthier ways to help you celebrate your achievements. It could be a trip away. It could be simply walking around the block with music in your ears, feeling happy and proud of yourself. Whatever way incorporates a healthier lifestyle, use it to help you celebrate. Healthy options to take. 1. Understand what motivates you at a deep emotional level. 2. Confront fear and push forward. 3. Develop some visual reminders of your motivators and have them near you. 4. Celebrate healthily. Now that you have found your key motivators, let's use them throughout the rest of this book and tackle exactly what you would like to change. Quotation. What is the most rigorous law of our being? Growth. No smallest atom or our moral or physical structure can stand still a year. It grows. It must grow. Nothing can prevent it. Mark Twain. So that's the introduction and the first chapter of MidLife Mojo. Again, the link will be in the podcast bio, and it's also available by search on Amazon as an ebook. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it's motivated you to think about where you are at the present moment in time with regards to your well-being and what you're wanting to achieve and why. And if you're wanting to know more, then feel free to purchase the book, and really would appreciate any feedback or any comments that you have. If you know a nurse that has an experience or a story to tell, feel free to let them know about this podcast. We're here to inspire, educate, and advocate for nurses. My name's Wendy Trevarthen. You've been listening to Your Nurse Voice Matters, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.